Hey guys, welcome to the video today. We're going to be talking about the 2020 NFL schedule, and we're going to be crowning a champion. Today is a very special video because I have a guest on the channel, none other than Broncos expert, Cowboys hater, none other than Mr. Baskin himself. I want to apologize for the pretty bad audio and footage in this video. It was my first time really trying to record and screen share at the same time, so it was a little bit of a struggle. Other than that, I hope you enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'm also sorry about the length of the video. Feel free to skip around, and I hope you enjoy. So starting in week one here of the 2020 NFL season, we're just going to run through all the games here. Starting week one, first game of the season, Texans at Chiefs. I think that the Chiefs will get the win at home. Moving on to Jets, Bills. I think the Bills will win. The Jets are a joke. They're not very good. And yes, that is coming from a Dolphins fan. Colts, Jags. I think the Colts will get the away win. Then my Dolphins go to the Patriots. I think the Patriots will sadly win that game. I think the Ravens will sweep by the Browns at home. And then the Chargers and the Bengals. This is an interesting one. Chargers away against Joe Burrow's first game. I think the Chargers will win. Their defense is good. I like their offense. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. I'm a big fan of Tyrod Taylor. But the Chargers there. Titans at Broncos. I think the Titans will beat your Broncos, Baskin. But there you go. Now we get Raiders at Panthers. I think the Raiders will win. I really liked what they did in the offseason, getting Corey Little in. As well as, they had a pretty decent draft. It was a classic Mike Mayock and Gruden draft, but it was pretty solid. Steelers at Giants. Ben Roethlisberger will lead the Steelers to a win there. Seahawks and Falcons. Seahawks will win that game. Bears and Lions. That's an interesting one. I don't think the Bears are going to be as good as people say, but I still think they're going to win this game. And then the Eagles and the Redskins. Chase Young isn't gonna carry the Redskins to a win here. So I'm gonna put the Eagles away. Packers at Vikings. That's a really good week one matchup. The Vikings and the Packers, both solid teams. But I think the Packers away from home are going to struggle against the Vikings. The Vikings are going to be underrated this year, as they pretty much are every year. People like to hate on them, but I think they're going to be pretty good. Niners and Cardinals. Niners at home, definitely. And I think this is going to be a great matchup, Bucs and Saints. And I think the Saints will come out on top at home at the Superdome. And finally, Cowboys and Rams. Final game, I think the Cowboys will come away with the victory away. On to week two.
Okay, so this is week two, and the Thursday night matchup here, we got Bengals Browns, and I think this is a clear Cleveland victory. I think the Browns are just a more talented team, and I think they're finally going to come together this year, and the roster is they're going to play up to their potential this year. Bills versus Dolphins, I think that the Dolphins are probably going to play very similar to what they did last year. They really rallied behind Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that team later in the season, everyone thought they were going to tank for Tua, but I think they had some really surprising success last year for many people who thought they were going to go 0-16, but I still have the Bills in this game. And then you got Broncos Steelers, which this is a pretty close matchup in my opinion. Drew Lock against probably Big Ben, unless he's still injured by then, which I really doubt it. But I got to take my Broncos here. I think overall our offense is better than the Steelers, and I think Big Ben will hit some regression this year. Jaguars versus Titans. I think the Titans will take this game because that Jaguars team will be very weak this year. They lost a lot of people via trade or free agency, and that team is really going to struggle. Chiefs versus Chargers, I think this is a no-brainer. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. I think that Chargers offense is really going to struggle, and I think they're going to go with Tyrod Taylor for the first half of the year, and there's no way Tyrod Taylor is going to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and that flying offense. Then you got that looks like a Sunday night matchup between the Ravens and Texans, and that's obviously going to be a very good game there. And I gotta still give the nod to the Ravens there. I think the Texans, they just tend to choke in big games, and I just don't see them pulling that out. And then we got Vikings versus Colts. I think the Colts are actually going to have a surprising season, and I'm going to take the Colts in this game because I think Phillip Rivers is just a huge upgrade on Jacoby Brissett. And I don't think that Vikings team, even though Stephon Diggs, everyone was just calling him a diva all of last year, I think that will make a difference. I think Justin Jefferson is a worse player than Stephon Diggs, and that is really going to show. Jets versus 49ers, that is easy. 49ers, not really going to talk about that anymore. Patriots versus Seahawks, I think that's another no-brainer. I mean, if it's Stidham, Hoyer, whoever they signed as an undrafted free agent, I think that's easy. Seahawks are going to win that game. You got Raiders versus Saints. I think the Raiders are probably going to contend with the Saints a little in this one, but I think that Saints offense is just too much for that defense to handle. So I think that's a Saints dub. Giants versus Bears. You got Danny Dimes going against whoever the Bears decide to start. But I'm going to actually take the Giants in this one. I think it's going to be a close matchup, but the Giants, and I've seen a Giants versus Bears game in the past, and these two teams, they tend to contend more than you would think they would. Panthers versus Buccaneers. I think this is a Buccaneers easy victory. Tampa Bay and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I think that's just no matchup. Cowboys versus Falcons. I think the Cowboys defense is really going to struggle this year. I think losing Byron Jones, and they really didn't address their defense that much. They lost Robert Quinn, who had double-digit sacks last year, but I think it's still a Cowboys victory in this game. Rams, Eagles, I really like what the Eagles did in free agency. They picked up Darius Slay, and they upgraded that receiver core, even though people think the Jalen Reagor pick is a little controversial over Justin Jefferson. I think Jefferson is more of a slot guy, and I actually think that pick is kind of decent. So I got the Eagles in this game. Lions, Packers. I think the Lions are actually going to contend more than people think this year. I think losing Matt Stafford really did kill the Lions, and he may be one of the most important. Him and Russell Wilson are some of the most important quarterbacks to those teams' success, but the Packers are still easily going to win this game. And then you got Cardinals versus Redskins. Chase Young, I think he really will have an impact this year, but not enough of an impact. And I think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals easily win this game with DeAndre Hopkins. Who is stopping him in that secondary? I mean, that secondary is absolute garbage. I mean, they got no one. Who is that, like Fabian Moreau? I mean, they got no one. So that's an easy dub.
On to week 3. Starting on the Thursday night football game, my Dolphins taking on the Jags. Dolphins' first win of the season here, away from home. I think they'll easily handle the Jags. Raiders, Patriots. I'm going to take the Raiders away in this one. I think the Patriots will still be good this year. Bill Belichick will definitely work his magic, but I'm pretty high on the Raiders. Whoever's playing quarterback for them, Josh Jacobs is a really solid player. I like what they did in the draft, as I said earlier. So I think they make the surprise win here in Foxborough. Texans at Steelers. I think the Texans will start off with 3 losses in a row. I think the Steelers will be able to beat them in Pittsburgh. Jets and Colts. I love what the Colts have done in the offseason, getting DeForest Buckner, as well as, I mean, they have a solid secondary too with Kenny Moore. And if they decide to keep on to Malik Hooker, and their offense is really good, they upgraded in the draft a lot. And I think, as was already said earlier, Phillip Rivers is such a great upgrade on Jacoby Brissett. So I think the Colts will win here at home. Chiefs at Ravens, Monday night. What a game here. Chiefs coming into Baltimore. This is going to be perhaps the game of the year. Maybe I'm calling it right now. Game of the year, week 3. Chiefs at Ravens. I'm going to go with the Chiefs away. They really did a great job in the draft getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think they might have been a little bit high for him, but he really fits that Chiefs style of play of just being explosive, being all over the field. And Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, that offense is firepower. This is going to be a lot of points scored in that game. Rams at Bills. I think the Bills defense is just too good. And the Rams on offense, I mean, Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp as well as Robert Woods can only do so much, especially without a running game. I don't think Cam Akers is going to be that guy that they hope to be. And I don't think Darrell Henderson, I think he was a 4th-round pick I might be wrong about that from last year. But I don't think he's going to shine either. Redskins at Browns. Interesting here. The Browns are going to be better than they were last year. They just are. I really like what they did in getting Jedrick Wills. I know he played right tackle in college, and that's more of a Jack Conklin position, so he's going to have to force his way over to left tackle. But I think those solid tackles will really keep any defensive end threats or defensive line threats that the Redskins can throw at them. So I think the Browns will win here. Bengals at Eagles. I'm going to go with the Bengals here. Surprise pick here, but I think Joe Burrow in his third week, he's going to get a win here in Philly. Especially the Eagles secondary, they're not the greatest secondary. Also, especially losing Malcolm Jenkins was a big loss for them. So I like the Bengals here. Titans Vikings, this is going to be another good matchup here. I think the Titans will win away from home. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill are strong. I think they will regress in 2020. But I think they're going to pull up the upset in Minnesota. Panthers at Chargers. I think the Chargers will win at home. Doesn't matter who's playing, Herbert, Tyrod Taylor. I like them this year. Broncos and Bucks. I don't like the Bucks this year. I'm sorry. I don't think they're gonna be as good as everyone says they are. Tom Brady is old. He only threw for 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year, which were pretty low stats for him. I think it was basically his worst season in about 11 seasons. So he's going to regress even more. He's coming into his age 40 whatever season. And I like the Broncos this year. Their offense is really nice. They had a really nice draft. Drew Lock, Jerry Jeudy, all those guys with Fant too. Their offensive line is a little bit questionable, but they did get Lloyd Cushenberry, I believe, in the third round or second round. That he's a solid addition to that O-line. Bears and Falcons. I'm going to give the Falcons the win. I think they're going to be a lot better than their 7-9 season last year. I think they can contend for a playoff spot, honestly. I think they could be better than the Bucs. That NFC South, yes, maybe besides the Panthers, it's going to be a pretty strong division. 49ers, Giants, I don't really want to talk about this one. 49ers here. Lions and Cardinals, that game last year I believe ended in a tie. But I think the Cardinals will come out on top this time at home. Just because, that offense is stacked. Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins. They did lose David Johnson, but I'm not worried. Kenyon Drake was really solid for them last year. And Kyler Murray, and they got Josh Jones in the draft, as well as they re-signed TJ Humphries. Their offense is loaded. I'm a big fan on them. Cowboys and Seahawks. I'm gonna go for the Cowboys here. I know most people would probably say the Seahawks would win this matchup, but the Cowboys are so loaded offensively. Their wide receiving core is just ridiculous. You look at what they did in the draft, getting CeeDee Lamb, as well as already having Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and Zeke Elliott and Dak Prescott in that O-line, even after Travis Frederick retired, they're still going to be as good as ever. So I think they win here. And then Packers Saints, I'm going to go with the Saints at home. Saints at home in the Superdome. It's kind of hard to beat.
Okay, week 4 now. So we got Broncos Jets, and I think this game, I think the Broncos are just more talented team, and this is not just because I'm a Broncos fan. That Jets offensive line is complete garbage. I have no clue who they have on that offensive line, and they have no receivers. Sam Darnold is going to look like a deer out of headlights. He's going to have no one to throw the ball to. I think there's going to be extreme regression, and I think they may even end up drafting a quarterback next year because Sam Darnold is going to look so bad this year because they have no wide receivers. They drafted no one. They got Mekhi Becton, who I think was definitely the wrong pick. He's very raw. I think in a certain situation he's good, but the Jets tend to just blow up any player with a potential-based player versus talent-based player. So I don't think Mekhi Becton is going to be a good fit there, and I think it's going to be a terrible season there for the Jets. You got Jaguars versus Bengals, and I think this is another Joe Burrow victory. I think the Jaguars, I don't think they're going to have a good season this year. They want to trade everyone away, everyone who's young. They want to trade away Fournette and Yannick Ngakoue. And these are all just massive mistakes. This is a corrupt franchise, which is only going downhill right now. You got Titans versus Steelers, and I think this is a Steelers win. I think that defense is going to get even better this year with Minkah Fitzpatrick and Devin Bush. and I think the Titans will definitely face some regression this year. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is elite. I think that was overblown. I think he can be a starting quarterback in this league, but he is not elite. Patriots versus Chiefs. I think this, as much as I don't want to make the Chiefs just win this whole thing, I think the Chiefs may, and I'm going to give the Chiefs this victory here. I think it's pretty easy. Raiders versus Bills. I think this is a Bills victory. I think the Bills may be my sleeper team of the year. That defense is absolutely scary. And Josh Allen, I think he takes massive strides in year number 3. I think they traded for Stephon Diggs, which was a great trade because Josh Allen has a bunch of targets now. And I think the Bills are going to have a massive uptick this year in their win total. Colts versus Bears, I don't think the Colts are going to start the year with 4 wins, so I'm going to give it to the Bears. I think the Colts are going to be a good team this year, but they're not going to be overly dominant. Bucks versus Chargers. I think Adam was hating on the Bucks a little. I think Tom Brady still has a little juice left in his tank, and I think the Bucks are still a playoff team this year. I think Godwin and Evans and O.J. Howard and Brait and Gronk, if that team doesn't make the playoffs, then, their schedule is just not that hard, and I just don't think they miss the playoffs. Cowboys versus Browns, so I'm going to give it to the Browns. I think the Cowboys being overblown here. I think they lost Travis Frederick, which was a big loss. They lost Byron Jones. They got CeeDee Lamb, which was not a need. I think CeeDee Lamb's production this year may be more similar to Randall Cobb than you think. I think that is all being overblown. The Dallas Cowboys every year are picked as a Super Bowl team, and they always disappoint. They're the kings of 8-8 and 9-7 and blowing it in the divisional round. The Cowboys are not a Super Bowl winning team. And Jerry Jones, he has everyone ahead. That team is just – I do not think they're going to go win the Super Bowl this year. Seahawks, Dolphins. Sorry, Adam. I think the Seahawks just win this game. They're just the more talented team. Ravens, Redskins, another case. The Ravens are just far more talented. Vikings versus Texans. I think the Texans finally get their first win. That Vikings team lost more than just Stephon Diggs. They lost Everson Griffin, Linval Joseph, all their cornerbacks. That team, I think, will struggle this year. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. Saints versus Lions. I think this is going to be – sorry about that. That is going to be a Lions win here. I think the Lions are going to have more success than people think this year. I think Stafford is really – I think he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. Kenny Golladay is an emerging receiver. I think Jeff Okudah is a great pick. Panthers versus Cardinals. I'm going to give the Panthers their first win of the season. They're going to get some wins somehow. They're not an 0-16 squad. They have some talent on that roster. Giants versus Rams. I think I'm also going to give the Rams the win here. I think they are just a better team than the Giants. And they are also, I think they may muster up 6 or 7 wins this year. They are not going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Jared Goff is trash, but he's still a starting quarterback. And they still have a lot of talent. Aaron Donald yet alone. Like, who's stopping Aaron Donald on that Giants offensive line? No one. Nate Solder. He's going to have a field day there. He's trash. You got Eagles versus 49ers. I think this is going to be a pretty close game, but I got the Eagles winning this game. And then you got Packers versus Falcons. I think the Packers win this game. I just think that defense is very underrated. The Smith brothers, even though they're not brothers, Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage, Amos, I think that's a very good defense. And I think a healthy Devontae Adams is really going to help the Packers this year. And even though they didn't draft a wide receiver, I think the Packers are still going to have a good year.
Moving on to week 5, trying to hurry this up a little bit. Raiders, Chiefs. I'm not going to talk about this. The Chiefs are going to win at home. I don't want the Chiefs to win all 16 games, but they're the Chiefs. Broncos at Patriots. I think I'm high on the Broncos this year. As I said earlier, I think the Broncos will win in Foxborough. Bengals and Ravens. Ravens will win at home. They're just better than the Bengals. Texans and Jags. I hope the Texans struggle this year, not just because I'm a Dolphins fan and they have and we have their first round pick next year, as well as their second round pick. But I think the Texans will win against the Jags. The Jags are just depleted to any talent. Bills, Titans. I think the Bills will win, as we've already talked about. That defense is stellar. Colts and Browns. I think the Colts will win. I think they're going to be a playoff team this year. I'm really high on the Colts this year. Cardinals and Jets. the Jets are they just didn't do anything in the offseason. I mean, Mekhi Becton, we already talked about it. He wasn't a great pick. I would have liked to seen them get someone else. Maybe Jedrick Wills would have been a better selection, maybe trading up to do that. But I just didn't like that Becton pick. Eagles and Steelers. I think the Steelers will win. Dolphins and 49ers. I got to give my team a loss there. 49ers are just too good. Saints and Chargers. This is an interesting one. The Saints and the Superdome are just too good, though. I think they're one of the best teams at home in the NFL. Bucks and Bears. I think the Bucks will struggle this year. The Bears will win at home. Khalil Mack will just be really mean to whoever's on that Bucks O-line. Panthers and Falcons. The Falcons will win. The Panthers just aren't that good this year. Redskins and Rams. That's an interesting one. I'm going to give the Redskins their first win of the season, I believe. Yeah, the first win of the season. I think they'll be able to beat the Rams at home. That defense will start to come alive. And maybe that offense with Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin might do something. Cowboys and Giants, great, always a great matchup to watch. I think the Cowboys will win. I'm high on them this year. And then the Seahawks and the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings will be as good as they were last year, as was already said. But the Seahawks, I think they'll be able to beat them in Week 5.
Okay. I'm also going to quicken it up here. We don't want this video to go on forever. Chiefs Bills. I think the Bills hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season. As I already said, this Bills team is underrated, and the Chiefs are not going 16-0. Colts versus Bengals. I'm going to give this win to the Colts. I think the Bengals, what did we already give them 2 wins here? I do not think the Bengals start the year 3-2. I think they're an average team this year. We got Steelers versus Browns. I'm going to give it to the Steelers. I think you got the Myles Garrett revenge game or whatever you're calling it. But that game is going to be pretty interesting. But that Steelers defense, as I said before, is very good. Titans versus Texans. I'm going to give it to the Titans here. I think the Titans are just going to have the better season. I think losing DeAndre Hopkins, I have no clue what Bill O'Brien was doing. He's an absolute get him fired. Dolphins, Broncos. I'm going to give the Dolphins the win here. The Broncos tend to lose to bad teams sometimes. Hence, they lost to the Jets last year. Isaiah Crowell ran for 200 yards, and that was absolutely disgraceful. I think another disgraceful performance could happen here, and I'm going to give the Broncos a loss. We got Jets versus Chargers. I'm going to give it to the Jets. I think they'll find a way to get 1 or 2 or 3 wins at some point this year. I think that is the time. Ravens versus Eagles. I think this is a Ravens win here. I think the Eagles, they're going to be good this year, but they're going to be okay. They may win the division. I don't think they're going to be at the top of the NFC. Lions, Jaguars. I think this is easy for me. I'm going to give it to the Lions here. I think they're just a more talented roster right now. Redskins versus Giants. I think this is going to be a semi-close matchup, but I see the Giants eking this one out here. Panthers, Bears. I'm going to give it to the Bears right here. I think that defense against Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know what he actually musters up there. Falcons versus Vikings. I'm going to give it to the Vikings here. They got their second win of the season. This is a pretty close game, but I think the Vikings come out on top. Buccaneers versus Packers. I think the Packers will win this game. I like Tom Brady a lot more than Adam does here, clearly, but the Packers I think they could be first place in the NFC this year, which sounds surprising in their draft, but Devontae Adams, he was injured for most of last year, which people don't realize. I mean, that's all you need. They signed Devin Funchess, which is an okay signing, so I like the Packers here. 49ers, Rams. I think this used to be a good matchup, but now 49ers sweep the floor. And then we got Cowboys, Cardinals. I'm hating on the Cowboys, and I'm going to hate on them more. Cardinals are going to win this game. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but that defense is going to struggle this year. I think they're going to struggle so much more than people think. Offense is not the only thing you need to win a championship. The Broncos got smoked in a Super Bowl versus the Seahawks. I'm a huge Bronco fan. And I know that defense wins championships. And if you have no defense, you're not going to win a championship. So Cowboys are losing this game, and they're going to lose this season. Okay.
On to Week 7. We got the Browns and Bengals. That's going to be a great matchup, I think. I'm going to give the Bengals the win. Give Joe Burrow the win here. I think now we're on to week 7. Maybe Tua starts here this game. You get some Tua Herbert action. I think the Dolphins will win at home. They're one of the better home teams in the NFL when they're good, which is very rare, but when they're good. Bills, Jets, Bills will win. I'm not going to really talk about that. Yeah, the Bills are 7-0 right now. We will deal with it in a second. The Steelers and the Ravens. The Ravens will come out on top. I don't want to give them every single win, but they're just better than the Steelers. Then the Broncos and the Chiefs. I'm going to give the Broncos a win here. Here's why. The Broncos at home in Denver is like something out of a storybook, basically. They're really good at home. Yes, they lost to the Dolphins last week, but the Chiefs, you know what? They're more familiar with the Chiefs here. They might not know exactly how to defend them, but they kind of added weapons that mimic what the Chiefs like to do. So it's going to be a high-scoring game. But, you know, Drew Lock's arm strength just is off the charts. So I'm going to give the Broncos the win. Packers and Texans. I'm going to keep hating on the Texans all day. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers, bounce back here. I'm calling it right now. I mean, they did make the NFC Championship game, but, you know, Aaron Rodgers didn't have one of his better seasons. But I'm going to give the Packers the win. 49ers and Patriots. Jimmy G going back to Foxborough. Patriots off the bye. Oh, this is a tough one here. I'm going to go with the Patriots here. I like them in Foxborough a lot. One of the hardest teams to beat at home. And I think Bill Belichick will sort out that 49ers offense. So now the Buccaneers and the Raiders. I'm going to keep hating on the Buccaneers. I think the Raiders will win this one at home in Las Vegas. You know, whoever's playing quarterback, I don't really care. I've already said that offense is – I like that offense a lot. With Henry Ruggs and Tyrell Williams, like that sounds like a really great receiving core to me. Tyrell Williams is one of the most underrated receivers in the league, as well as Cole Beasley, who's one of my favorite receivers. I just had to throw that in there. Giants and Eagles now. I think the Giants will win away from home. They need to get some wins. Saquon Barkley will show up at some point during the season. Lions, Falcons. I like Matthew Stafford a lot this year. If you watch my top 10 quarterbacks video, you know that Stafford's number 10 there, and I'm a big fan of him. I think he's a really good quarterback. Cowboys, Redskins. I think the Cowboys win this one pretty easily. Saints off the bye beat the Panthers. Seahawks off the bye, and the Cardinals. This is a tough one. Cardinals home at 1 though. I'm going to go with that. I love their offense. I know their defense has a little bit of problems, but I think they're. I mean, with Isaiah Simmons, who knows what's going to happen? And then Bears and Rams. I think the Bears will win away from home.
Okay, so we're starting to get to a lot less games here. I think what is this, week 8? But we're starting to get a lot less games, which is good. Trying to quick this up. We got Bengals versus Titans. I think the Bengals' run of success ends here. Titans smoke them. Patriots, Bills. I mean, how many wins do we give the Patriots so far? We got 2 wins. I'll say the Patriots squeak out a win against the Bills. Bill Belichick, he tends to beat the Bills, but that was with Tom Brady. But, I mean, he had success with Matt Castle, some with Brian Hoyer, Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he gets it done. Browns versus Raiders, I'm going to give it to the Cleveland Browns. I think they continue a little success here. Chiefs versus Jets, not going to talk about that. Chiefs. Jaguars versus Chargers. I'm going to give the Jaguars their first win of the season. I don't think this is an 0-16 squad, and they squeak out some wins. Rams, Dolphins. I think the Rams were kind of – I think they're not the worst, one of the worst teams in the NFL. I'm going to give them the win here. I think they can maybe squeak out 5 to 6 to 7 wins this year. Colts versus Lions. I think this is a really close game. But I'm going to give the edge to the Detroit Lions in this one, which is really shocking. But I like the Lions more than probably most people this year. Panthers versus Falcons. I'm going to give the Falcons the win in this game. At some point, they're going to fire Dan Quinn this season. They are not going to make the playoffs, even though some Falcons fans think they may, but they're not. That team is just not that good. Vikings, Packers. I think this is easy for me. Packers win this game. I think that Vikings team will have a down year. Saints, Bears. I think the Saints continue their hot streak this year. 49ers versus Seahawks. I'm going to give it to the healthy Seahawks team this year. I think Russell Wilson is just better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. In this primetime game, I got Seahawks. Eagles, Cowboys, one of the best rivalries in football. But I do like the Eagles more than the Cowboys this year. I think that defense will struggle, as I will say again and again and again. And you will see, even though everyone's like, we need to see CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper. I mean, that Cowboys team is a mess. They may not even re-sign Dak Prescott. I mean, I have no clue who's running that team. I do, Jerry Jones. Buccaneers, Giants. Buccaneers win this game. Adam's a Bucs hater, but Danny Dimes is not beating Tom Brady. That is it for me.
On to week 9, getting really into the meat of this. Ravens and Colts. Ravens win. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. I think the Colts win at home. Forrest Buckner was a great pickup for that first round pick, and I love that Colts team and that Colts defense and that Colts offense. I think they're gonna be really good this year. Texans and Jags. Sadly, the Texans coming off the bye will win. Raiders and Chargers, really interesting matchup, but I think the Chargers at home will get the dub. Jets and Pats. Always a good matchup. Normally for the Patriots. And I think they'll win again here. I think they're the more talented team than the Jets. The Jets just have no idea what they're doing. Seahawks and Bills. I think the Bills will get the dub. You know what? Seahawks will have to travel a long way for that trip. They'll be tired coming off the plane. And I know that's not really an excuse, but the Bills' defense is just really, really good this year. Panthers and Chiefs. The Chiefs will win. The Broncos and the Falcons. That's a really good matchup. But I think the Broncos will win. Even in Atlanta, coming off the bye, as I've said countless times, I'm really high on the Broncos this year. The Bears and the Titans, I think the Titans will win. Dolphins and the Cardinals. Even though the Cardinals are coming off the bye, I think the Dolphins will win here, and here's why. The Cardinals' main threat are their wide receiver core, right? DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, as well as Christian Kirk. The Dolphins have, I'm going to say it right now, the best secondary in the league. They do. Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, Nick Needham, Bobby McCain, Noah Igbenogany. They got Brandon Jones in the third round. They might not be the top secondary in the league, but they're a top 5 secondary in the league, definitely. And I think they'll cause problem for the Cardinals. You know what? They'll get a road win here. Steelers and Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will win at home here. Packers and Niners. I'm gonna go here with the Packers away from home. You know what? It's a little bit of a revenge game. You know what? The 49ers beat the Packers twice last season. Also in the NFC Championship game. That was a really tough loss for them. But you know what? Aaron Rodgers coming home to San Francisco, to the Bay Area. I think he'll get the dub. Giants and Redskins. I'm going to take the Giants this week. Lions and Vikings. I don't think the Vikings will be as bad as we're making them out to be. So I think they'll take the win there. And then the Saints and the Buccaneers, I'm going to hand the Buccaneers another loss. I think Drew Brees and the Saints offense is just too high-powered. I know you're a Michael Thomas lover over there, and I think he will be great this year once again.
Okay, on to what I think is week 10. We got Colts-Titans. I'm going to give it to the Colts this year. I just like that team this year. I think they do have a limit, but I like them more than the Titans this year. Texans, Browns. I think we're hating on the Texans a little too much. I'll give it to the Texans here. Bengals, Steelers. I think this will be a closer game than people think, but I got the Steelers in this one. Jets versus Dolphins. I don't know, semi-close, but I think Dolphins win this game. Raiders, Broncos. I know Adam's loving my Broncos, but I think it's a little too much. Raiders are going to win this game. Patriots versus Ravens. Ravens come out on top. Packers versus Jaguars. That's easy. Jaguars. Bills, Cardinals. Bills see a little stunt to their success. I think the Bills will lose that game to the Cardinals. We got Eagles, Giants. We got 4 wins for the Giants so far. I mean, we got to remember this is the New York Giants. I mean, they will screw it up at some point. So it's an Eagles victory. Redskins, Lions. I think a little too many upsets for this week. I'll give it to the Lions here. Buccaneers, Panthers. I think Adam's just hating on the Buccaneers a little too much. I think this is possibly a 7 or a 6 seed. I do not think the Buccaneers will miss the playoffs. This is a Buccaneers victory. Seahawks versus Rams. This game is kind of up in the air for me. I think the Rams will come out on top. This is a week of upsets. Saints versus 49ers. This will not be an upset. The Saints will win this game. And we got Vikings versus Bears. I'm going to give the Bears again. The Vikings lost so many pieces in free agency. They lost their whole secondary. They lost Everson Griffin, Linval Joseph, Stephon Diggs. That offensive line is goddamn garbage. And Kirk Cousins will not lead a team on his own. This is Kirk Cousins. That is it.
Steelers, Jags. I think that the Steelers will come away with a victory. The Jags they're just not great this year. Titans, Ravens. That will be another playoff rematch. I think the Ravens will come out with a win. I think the Texans will be able to win at home, getting to 5-5. Broncos and Chargers. That's a really good game. But I think I like the Chargers in this one. Coming off the bye, they're going to be well rested. Now, Chiefs, Raiders. I'm going to give the Raiders the win here. At home, Henry Ruggs is going to lead this Raiders offense past the Chiefs. It's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think that the Raiders will come out with the win. A little bit of a surprise pick here. Eagles and Browns. I think the Browns will win at home. I really like them this year. I know people liked them last year, but Baker Mayfield is going to become a NFL quarterback this year. He was a college quarterback last year. By his watching him play, he just wasn't in the game all the time. Colts and Packers. I think the Colts will win. I'm high on the Colts this year. I think they could win their division. And we see them at 8-2 right now. So it's kind of very high on the Colts. Bengals and Redskins. I think the Bengals will win the first and second overall pick going head to head. Cardinals at Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will win on Thursday night at home. That should be a really good game to watch. Lions and Panthers. I think the Lions will come away with the victory here, going 6-4, clinging to that number 7 playoff spot. Falcons and Saints. I'm going to give the Falcons the upset here. I think the Saints, you know what, they can't keep that momentum rolling forever. They got to lose eventually, and I think the Falcons have a really high-powered offense. I really like their offense with Todd Gurley, as well as Julio and Calvin Ridley. They can do a lot of stuff with that offense. Cowboys and Vikings. I'm going to give the Vikings a win here. I know I'm high on the Cowboys, but I can't see the Vikings at 3-6 right now. So let's make it 4-6. And then the Rams and the Bucks. I think I got to give the Bucks the win here at home. You know, Raymond James Stadium. Maybe they make it to the playoffs. We'll see as the season progresses.
What is this, week 12 here? We got Ravens versus Steelers. I think this is the time where the good teams start showing out. The Ravens will win this game, followed by the Bills and the Titans winning 3 games in a row. Those are all going to be the favorites in all those games. I'm going to follow that up. The Browns are also going to win this week. And you got Jets versus Dolphins. I think the Dolphins, they're kind of good stride. It's coming to an end. I think they lose this game to the Jets. This is a loss, Adam. I am sorry, but your Dolphins, I do not think they're making the playoffs. Lions versus Texans. I think this game is going to the Texans. I think I am definitely loving the Lions this year, but they're not one of the top teams in the NFC this year. Giants, Bengals. This is a really close game. I'm going to give it to the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Falcons and Raiders. I'm going to, let's see. We got the Falcons at 4-6, and we got the Raiders at 5-5. I'm going to give it to the Falcons here. They squeak out a victory. Patriots, Cardinals. I'm going to give it to that Cardinals team. I think they're just a better overall team. DeAndre Hopkins for Stephon Gilmore, one of the best matchups of the season. But I think Hopkins is going to edge out Gilmore here. Saints, Broncos. I love my Broncos to death, but they're not going to beat the Saints. Buccaneers, Chiefs. I think we start to see Tommy Terrific kind of turn it up. He beats the Chiefs here. Redskins, Cowboys. I got the Cowboys, even though I hate them. Redskins aren't beating them. You got Vikings versus Panthers. I've been hating the Vikings as well, but the Vikings are going to win this game. They're just the better overall team. Rams versus 49ers. I'm going to give it to the 49ers. As I think the better teams are going to start to win as the season goes on. And some of these more upset picks, it's going to get more evened out as we finish up all these brackets, I guess. And so the 49ers, I think they're going to win this game here. Packers versus Bears, I think same scenario. Packers are going to win. They're one of my favorite teams this year to succeed. I think that offense is just going to – I think they will show up. I think Jay Sternberger, who was, I don't know if he was a 3rd or a 4th or a 5th round pick, but I remember the Packers picked him 2 years ago. I think he has potential to kind of turn up this offense this year. I think him and a healthy, rejuvenated Devontae Adams and those 3 running backs, A.J. Dillon for some goddamn reason as a 2nd-round pick. But I don't know. They'll pull something out of it. Eagles here, and I got the Eagles winning this game.
Sorry about that little delay. But moving on to week 13, really trying to move on now. Dolphins, Bengals, Tua, Burrow. Dolphins win at home. Jets and Raiders. I think the Jets will squeak out more than 2 wins this year, so I'll give them a win here. Colts and Texans. I've been really high on the Colts, but I don't think they're going to go 8-3 or 9-3 right now, so I think the Texans will win here. Browns and Titans. I think the Titans will win. Patriots and Chargers. I think that the Chargers will be able to get the W here. Chiefs and Broncos. I think the Chiefs will win. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. Cowboys and Ravens. I think the Cowboys will pull off the upset. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. Redskins and Steelers. I think the Steelers will be able to win here. Vikings and Jags. I think the Jags will get more than 1 win, but I don't think it will be against the Vikings. Bills and 49ers. I think it's a really good game, but I think the 49ers are going to be better than 6-5 at this point, so I'm going to give them the win here. Lions and Bears. I think the Lions will win here, beating the Bears. I don't think the Bears are going to be a playoff team. They might be a borderline playoff team, but it's very doubtful. Saints and Falcons. Saints will continue their win streak. Cardinals and Rams. I'm high on the Cardinals this year. I'm really high on them, so I'm going to give them a win. Seahawks and Giants. I think the Seahawks will win, and I think the Packers will win.
Okay, moving on. Chiefs, Dolphins. I think Chiefs. I think they'll be a higher playoff seed. I think Chiefs will win this game. Titans, Jaguars. I'm going to give the Jaguars the surprise win here. We got some Minshew magic going on here. And where's that game going to be? Who knows? It's going to be in Jacksonville. So we're going to get some Minshew magic at home. That's what's going to happen. Colts, Raiders. I think the Colts continue their decline here. Raiders are going to win this game. Steelers versus Bills. I think Bills, they're finally going to build back up that success. Bills are going to win this game. We got Ravens, Browns. I think this game is going to be very close, but I'm going to give it to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Patriots versus Rams. I'm going to give this one to the Rams. I think the Rams still find a way to muster up 6 to 7 wins. I do not think Sean McVay will get fired, but that offensive line is goddamn garbage, and it will need to get fixed in free agency or the draft. We got Bears versus Texans. I'm going to give this game to the Texans. Texans, I think, are going to be a borderline playoff team this year. I think Brandon Cooks is nowhere close to DeAndre Hopkins, but he's going to be able to muster up some kind of success this year in that offense. Cowboys, Bengals. I hate the Cowboys, but they're better than the Bengals. Cowboys are going to win this game. Broncos, Panthers. This is a no-brainer for me, even if I'm a Bronco fan. I think they easily win this game. Seahawks also win. And Falcons versus Chargers. I'm going to give it to the Falcons. I think that team is better. As I said before, Dan Quinn may be fired by now because, they barely saved Dan Quinn last season. They went 7-9, but he is not sticking around. Vikings versus Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers will make the playoffs, and they will win this game. Giants versus Cardinals. This is going to be a Cardinals win. I think we're liking the Cardinals a little too much here, but I think they're still better than the Giants, and no one in that Giants secondary is stopping DeAndre Hopkins. Packers versus Lions. I'm going to give this to the Packers. I think we're going to start to see, our top 4 teams, which right now are the Packers, Saints, Bills, and Ravens, and that makes complete sense to me with the Chiefs also being up there, so top 5 teams. 49ers beat the Redskins, and the Saints versus Eagles. I'm going to actually give this one to the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to try to squeak in a playoff appearance this year.
Moving on to week 15. Chargers, Raiders. I'm going to go Raiders at home. I really like them. Now, Bills at Broncos. I don't think the Bills will be 10-3. They're not going to be first place here. So I'm going to give the win to the Broncos. Colts and Texans. This is really for the 6th spot or round 6 spot in the AFC. So I'm going to give it to the Colts. Patriots at Dolphins. We know how the Patriots struggle in Miami. We're going to give it to the Dolphins here. Moving to 7-7. The Jags and the Ravens. I think the Ravens will win. Steelers, Bengals. Bengals at home. I'm gonna give them the win here. Browns and Giants. I think the Giants will win. They're gonna win around 5 games this year. I like that. I think the Jets will squeak by the Rams. They're gonna get more than 3 or 4 wins this year. Lions and Titans. I think the Titans will win. Chiefs and Saints, great matchup. I'm going to give the win to the Chiefs. The Saints lost last week, and I think the Chiefs are going to be really, really pumped to move up in that AFC. Buccaneers and Falcons. I think the Falcons will come out with the win here at home. I am hating on the Buccaneers, but I think it's real. I think that hate is real. Packers and Panthers. I think the Packers will slow down here, and the Panthers are definitely going to win more than one game. CMC is going to have like 300 yards this game. I'm calling it right now. But yeah, I think the Panthers are going to pull up the really big upset here. Seahawks and Redskins. I think the Seahawks away from home are going to struggle. I'm just going to say that right now. I think they're going to slow down a little bit, and I think the Redskins are going to capitalize on that, and they're going to win more than one game. The Bears and the Vikings. The Vikings will come out with the victory. I think they're going to be better than 6 or 7 wins. Cardinals and Eagles. I agree we're loving the Cardinals a little bit too much. So I'm going to give the Eagles a win here, and I think the 49ers will realistically beat the Cowboys.
Week 16 of the NFL season. Broncos Chargers. This isn't just because I'm a Bronco fan. I think they have a shot to squeak in the playoffs, and I'm going to give them that shot. Week 17. I think the Broncos win this game. We got Browns, Jets. The Jets are just going to be falling asleep here. I think the Browns easily win this game. Dolphins, Raiders. I think this is a game for that 7 seed as well. But I'm going to give the nod to the Raiders. I just think they're going to be the better team this year. I think the Dolphins may make the playoffs next year, but I think it's a little bit much to say that whoever's going to quarterback that team, either Tua or Fitzpatrick, is going to make the playoffs this year. Colts versus Steelers. I'm going to give it to the Colts here. I think they come out on top. They may win 11 or 10 wins this year. I think that is very realistic. Bengals, Texans. This is a Texans victory here. We're going to match out Joe Burrow's success at around 6 or 7 wins. Patriots versus Bills. I think the Bills win this game. This is a must-win game for the Bills if they want to secure that, I guess, one bye in the playoffs, because there's only one bye this year with the new playoff picture. Chiefs, Falcons. I think the Chiefs also. This is a must-win game for them. Chiefs win this game. Jaguars versus Bears. I'm going to give it to the Bears, just a more talented roster. And the Jaguars are really, I think Doug Marrone, he's definitely going to get fired after this season. And they're really going to have to rebuild that roster from bottom to top. Giants, Ravens, another scenario. Ravens are going to come out on top. And I think Titans versus Packers is a way closer game. But I think the Packers will win around 12 wins this year. I think that's very realistic. We got Viking Saints. I think very similar scenario. The better teams are they're going to play better at the end of the year. Saints are going to win. I think the 49ers win this game. I think that the Cardinals offense is going to be very good this year, but that 49ers defense is still far superior. That Cardinals offensive line is also goddamn garbage. I mean, they got really no one there. They picked up Josh Jones in the draft, but they got pretty much no one, and I don't know if that's a playoff team. Buccaneers, Lions. This is probably another battle for possible 7-seed contention. But as much as I like the Lions, I'm going to give the nod to the Buccaneers and let Adam decide if they make the playoffs. Panthers versus Redskins. I'm going to give it to the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey is the only factor in this game, and he will win the Panthers at least a third game. Rams, Seahawks. Seahawks have a shot at the playoffs. Seahawks win this game. Eagles, Cowboys. Adam may find this as a surprise, but as you know, I've been hating on the Cowboys this whole thing, so I'm going to give it to the Eagles because I think they had the much better offseason. Darius Slay. The Eagles got Darius Slay. The Cowboys lost Byron Jones. That's the difference in this game. The Eagles win this game.
Now, being in control of Week 17 is really interesting because I get to kind of decide who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. But more importantly, some teams that don't really have a chance of making that 1 seed or falling out of the playoffs, they might rest some players. So it's really difficult to actually see what's going to happen here. But I think the Ravens, you know what, they need to win this game to keep that number 1 spot. So I think the Ravens will beat the Bengals. With the Ravens winning, it doesn't matter though. Like the Bills will probably be playing at the same time. But I think the Bills will win, making the Dolphins have a 7-9 season, which isn't bad. They went 6-10 last year, but I think 7-9, they might even be better than 7-9. We've been kind of harsh on them. But now to the Browns and the Steelers. Both of these teams aren't going to look like they're going to make the playoffs, but the Steelers have a little bit more to play for, because if the Steelers win this one and the Texans lose, perhaps they do end up winning. I don't really know about the tie-breaking rules here, but Steelers win. Chiefs will win this game too. The Colts and the Jags. I think that the Colts will realize that they can't really fall out of the playoffs here, but I still think they will play. It doesn't matter. Even if they play Jacoby Brissett, it doesn't really matter. I think they'll still win here. Pats and Jets. The Pats will win. They're going to win more than 4 games. I think they'll probably get up 6 games. Texans and Titans. This is a huge matchup here. I'm going to give it to the Titans. I think the Titans will win, which pushes the Texans out of the playoffs, which is huge for them. Missing the playoffs for the second year in a row. Broncos and Raiders, I'm going to give it to the – I don't think the Broncos are going to go 9-6. Come on, let's be real here. They're going to go 9-7. We'll give it to the Raiders. They still make the playoffs. Don't worry. But so do the Raiders. Packers and Bears. I think that the Packers will win, trying to get that 1 seed. Falcons and Bucks. I'm sorry, the Buccaneers. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm going to be real with that. I just don't think they will. However, I think they'll still win this game. We'll see if they make the playoffs, though. Redskins and Eagles. Eagles will win. Cowboys will beat the Giants. Vikings and Lions. I think that the Vikings will win that game. I think they're going to be better than their 8-8 record shows. Saints will beat the Panthers. And then the Seahawks and the Niners. Really interesting game for position. I think the Seahawks have a little bit more to play for here. So I'm going to give them the win, and then I'm also going to give the Cardinals the win against the Rams, which does mean that the Buccaneers will not be making the playoffs.
So I guess I'm taking the wild card around here, and then Adam is going to take divisional, and then I'll take conference. I think we should share both of our opinions for the final 2 rounds, or maybe even the whole playoffs. I don't know, but I think we'll share our opinions for the final 2 rounds for the conference championship and the Super Bowl. So I'll take the wild card, and Adam will take the divisional, and then we'll share our opinions and decide who will win this fake Super Bowl scenario. Colts versus Titans. I mean, I'm going to give it to Phillip Rivers in this game. I think Phillip Rivers does not win a playoff game, and it seems like forever, and he will get it here. I think he tries to make a run for that Super Bowl before. I think he probably plays one more season, and then he'll retire. Chiefs versus Raiders. The Chiefs are going to win this game. They're just a far better team. And the Raiders, they just do not have that playoff experience. The Chiefs have been in the playoffs the last few years. They made it to the Super Bowl. They almost made it to the Super Bowl the year before. And they're clearly going to win this game here. Broncos, Bills, as much as this hurts me to say, the Broncos will lose this game. I like the Bills this year. I think they will learn from their playoff tragedy-ish last year when Deshaun Watson made that killer play against them. And the Bills will win this game decisively. Seahawks versus 49ers. This may be the best game of the wild card round. I mean, this rivalry is really going back and forth for the last, 6 or 7 years. Maybe not that long. Maybe more like 5 to 6. But it's been going on for a while since Michael Crabtree and Richard Sherman. And those are some of my best days of football. But I'm going to give it to the Seahawks here. They got their revenge. They beat the 49ers. Eagles, Cardinals. I think the Eagles, they just have more playoff experience. Carson Wentz is just like, if he's still playing this game, he may be injured by then. We really don't know. It may be Jalen Hurts or Nick Foles. But I think the Eagles will win this game. Kyler Murray has never played in a playoff game. And Carson Wentz wants to show everyone that he isn't just a disabled man. He's a football player. And so now we got Packers, Cowboys, and as much as it really saddens me to say, the Cowboys will not be advancing in the playoffs because that defense will not stop Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers will be determined to try to win a Super Bowl because he only has one, and he's not the best of all time.
So now on to the divisional round. Chiefs, Bills at home. I'm sorry, but Josh Allen, it doesn't have that much playoff experience. He's only played in that game against Houston last year where he almost beat the Texans. But I think Chiefs will win. I mean, Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, there's nothing like it. And now I think is where we say goodbye to the Colts. I'm sorry, they had a really good season. I really liked them this year. But I think the Ravens are just going to overpower them. I really do. I mean, Lamar Jackson, you know what? He messed up in the divisional round last year, but I don't think the Colts are going to be this year's sweethearts. Eagles and Packers, I think this is where we say goodbye to the Eagles at Lambeau, the Packers. They're going to be like no other team. Now is where I get to say that the Saints suffer heartbreak again. I don't know if I want to do that, though. I think that the Saints are a really solid team. They have a lot to play for. But that storyline, it's almost like a curse, and I'm just going to have to go with what recent history has said. And that means that the Saints do end up losing this game.
Okay, so I think I'm going to share my opinion first here, and then Adam's going to share his opinion, and then we'll kind of figure out what we want to do. Chiefs versus Ravens. In my opinion, the Ravens will win this game because I think Lamar Jackson, he'll be more determined here. It's really hard for me to say. I think this game will be really close, but I think the Ravens did do some really good things in the draft. They got Patrick Queen, which was an amazing steal in the draft. They traded for Calais Campbell for like a 6th-round pick, which was an amazing deal. Lamar Jackson, he was also only in his 2nd year last year. I think he has a far better year, and I think he breaks the Madden curse this year, just like Patrick Mahomes did last year. And I think the Ravens will advance, but I'm going to ask Adam first and see what he thinks. But I feel like he may agree with me. He may disagree, but we'll find out. And then Seahawks versus Packers. I think this game is also really close, especially for the legacy of Aaron Rodgers. And I think Russell Wilson, he'll just play for a lot longer. And I think Aaron Rodgers, I think he makes it to one more Super Bowl in his career, to everyone's surprise, even though they picked Jordan Love in the draft. I think Aaron Rodgers leads his team to the Super Bowl. If they win, I mean, that's completely up in the air. And it's up to Adam to see what his opinion is on this too. But I really do think that Aaron Rodgers could lead his team to one more Super Bowl this year.
To be honest, I was on the fence with both of the games. I think the Chiefs' offense is just so dynamic, as well as that Ravens' offense is really dynamic. But I have to agree with you that the Ravens will win that game. Patrick Mahomes isn't going to go to back-to-back Super Bowls. I just don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Lamar Jackson, 2nd year in the NFL, he's just going to be bigger and better. You know, I see Jackson winning that game for the Ravens. Now on to Seahawks and Packers. I really like the Packers going to the Super Bowl, but to be honest, I don't really think that will happen in real life. Yet the Seahawks, I don't think they have a good enough team to make the Super Bowl either. However, I do agree with the Packers winning this game. I think Aaron Rodgers has a lot more to play for. I think he's going to be more determined. Devontae Adams, as well as whatever receivers are playing in Green Bay. You don't know next year.
Allen Lazard.
Exactly. We even might have some Equanimous St. Brown coming up. But sorry about that. But more importantly, I think the Seahawks will. This is where their season ends. So I agree with both of Baskin's picks here with the Ravens and the Packers.
Now on to the Super Bowl. And this Super Bowl, I think it's going to be one of the best Super Bowls ever. And this sounds a little crazy because we've seen so many great Super Bowls lately. I mean, we saw that Patriots-Seahawks game last year, the Chiefs versus 49ers, obviously the Patriots versus the Falcons. But I think this game is going to be a really good game. But I think Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he'll finish his career with one Super Bowl win. I think he gets that 2nd Super Bowl win. And then I think Aaron Rodgers will start to hit regression. But I think he's just going to be more determined than Lamar Jackson in this game. I think the spotlight is still going to be too much for Action Jackson. And I think the Ravens will be the favorite in this game. But I really do like that Packers team. I think it's really well-rounded. That defense, I think, is really underrated. The Ravens defense is really good too. But I think the Packers pass rush this year and their secondary too, Jair Alexander, I think he's going to continue to make strides and may even top Stephon Gilmore for the best cornerback in the league. Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos, maybe the best safety tandem in the league next year. They got the Smith brothers. They got, I think, Devontae Adams. I mean, I think he'll be good in fantasy. Hopefully he doesn't get injured because that would completely screw up this pick for me. But I got the Packers. I'll let Adam decide who he thinks will win the Super Bowl, and we may call it a draw or we may call it a tie, but I got the Packers.
We won't be calling it a tie. The Packers will win this game. I agree with you on that one. But here's my reasoning. Aaron Rodgers he's not a one Super Bowl quarterback. He knows how to win in the Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to get it done, and he's going to be able to get it done. Lamar Jackson's only played in 2 playoff games, coming into his 3rd playoff game, which is the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, but the pressure's going to mount. That Packers defense is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry. I love what they did last year, and I think they'll continue it into the season. My only concern with the Packers is, did they get enough help for Aaron Rodgers? I don't think they did in the draft, and I think they lost Brian Bulaga, which might hurt them. But I still think they'll be a good enough team to make the Super Bowl. That's it for us. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Now that you've reached the end of the video, I want to tell you to like and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below. I want to apologize also about the length of the video, as well as the audio and the footage. I'm definitely going to work on that in the future. Please check out other videos on my channel, and until next time, see ya.